Trends in legislation is causing some folks to question if lawmakers are working for all people or just the progressives. Now, these include requiring gender-neutral displays for items in large schools, prohibiting natural gas in buildings, and the recent critical race theory bill, just to name a few. Joining us now to talk more about this progressive wave is State Senator Melendez. Senator, good to talk with you tonight.
Ginger, good to be on with you. Thanks for having me.
I got to be honest, I didn't even know about this first one, this gender-free shelves. Tell me about that one.
Yeah, so we have a legislator who ironically doesn't actually have any children of his own, run a bill to require that large retailers have to keep their children's products, clothing, toys, things like that, in a gender-neutral area. So you can't have the boys section, you can't have the girls section. I can tell you as a parent of 5 children that made my life a heck of a lot easier knowing which direction to go in based on what my kids wanted. But this legislator has decided that that's a no-no, and so now everything has to be gender neutral, and the governor did sign that bill.
Wow, so that takes effect when?
That should take effect in January, I believe. My comments when we were debating this bill were, why don't you just let parents decide what is best for their kids rather than having the government step in and tell you how to shop? I think parents are pretty good at knowing how to shop for their children, irrespective of what section their kids want to shop in. If that's the parent's prerogative, leave them alone and let them do that. Let them be the parent. Don't let the government step in and be the parent of the children. But again, the governor signed it, so it's large retailers only. It's not the smaller ones, but I'm sure you can imagine the trickle-down effect that this may have once they require large retailers to do it. Will the next step be, well, now we want everyone else to do it as well? And then what comes after children's toys and children's clothes? What else are we going to regulate as far as how businesses operate?
I remember I used to tell my parents that fish sticks were chicken because I couldn't read and they didn't want to eat fish. So, why I don't understand if they feel kids are actually looking at the aisles and going, oh, this is a girl section. This is where I belong. But I guess that's another discussion. What about no natural gas in buildings? So electric and solar, is that going to be enough?
Well, it's not. I mean, we don't have enough of the alternative green energy now if we wanted to power all of the homes and all of the needs in California. So I don't really know how they think this is going to work. But the reason we always hear when we ask these questions is the market will respond. The innovators will figure out a way to do it. So it kind of forced people into a situation where they have to come up with these things. But I'm just not certain that they're going to be able to do that. I mean, our electrical grid is what it is and has a certain level of capacity. And unless you increase that capacity, where are you going to store the energy? The natural gas thing, I don't understand quite this war on these certain types of fuels. I think you allow people to choose. A lot of people want to use the natural gas. It's a clean energy. But again, that is not the agenda of the majority party in Sacramento.
Yeah, and I also remember seeing that the legislature was actually discussing the whole idea of a vaccine mandate for the younger kids, but it didn't look like they were going to get the votes. Is that right?
Yeah, so there was a bill, one of the assembly members was trying to gut and amend a bill that she had and change it into this vaccine mandate, that basically what the governor did with his executive order. They were not able to muster the votes in order to do that, and it should have stopped there. We are the representatives of our constituents, and if we make a decision like that, we then have to face our constituents and answer for it. This took that burden and responsibility out of the legislature's hand, and the governor did it by executive order. So, this is where the process is broke down, which is what I've been saying for nearly 2 years now, that the governor is ruling by fiat and the legislature is completely cut out of the mix, save for, some of the bills that have been allowed to pass through. But this is not how our government is supposed to work. And irrespective of how you feel about vaccinating children, I still think, number one, if they were going to do something like that, at the very least, have respect for Californians to have it go through the legislative process. And number two, I still believe that it should be up to the parents to decide what they put into their kids' body, given the problems that we've had with this vaccine. And many parents are eagerly awaiting to vaccinate their children, and that is their choice. And I would never take that choice away from them, but they are taking the choice away from others.
Yeah, what are you hearing back from your constituents? I mean, you represent Lake Elsinore, you're a Republican, so are people calling your office, yelling at you, saying, why can't you, become the majority?
Yeah. They are. They're very frustrated because I understand it. They feel like, well, you're my representative, so you need to fix this. But, I'm one member of the legislature. I'm one senator out of 40. And I wish I could go in there and just put a halt to it, but I can't. It's the majority party who is in control, and they're calling the shots. And I can't tell you how many people have said, well, we're going to homeschool our kids now, or we're going to move. Now, many parents don't have that option. But a lot of them are trying to figure out, how can I make this work? Because they feel that strongly about it. Given the fact that we have so many Californians who are already vaccinated, I just don't understand why they're using children as human shields for their own fears, for their own personal agenda. I really don't know what it is, but I think it's kind of cruel to do this to kids.
Yeah, we didn't even get to talk about the cap on charter schools. We're going to have you back to discuss that. As a parent of a former charter school, he's now graduated. It's interesting, some of the movements that are being made in that arena as well. But State Senator Melissa Melendez, I appreciate your time tonight. Thank you.
Thanks, Ginger.